Hey sisters, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taline. I'm a registered dietitian, and if you haven't been here before, I have had PCOS and been able to reverse my symptoms, and that's what I'm going to help you do in this video. In this video, we're going to talk about what causes PCOS and the 5 steps to reverse it. Now, I know when you were first diagnosed with PCOS, it may have felt really scary. A lot of doctors kind of make it feel like it was your fault. I've heard some crazy things in the DMs about sisters feeling like, their doctor told them that it's because they've been eating too much or it's because they haven't exercised enough. There are a lot of crazy things out there that we have to debunk today in this video about what causes PCOS, because I want you to know that it was not your fault. Before we get started, comment below on this video and tell me what it was like when you were first diagnosed with PCOS, what it felt like, and if you were explained what the causes of your PCOS were. So what is PCOS? PCOS is the most common reason for infertility for women in their reproductive years. Now, that's really important to know because you're not alone. 1 in 10 women, and in some countries, 1 in 5 women have PCOS. That's a lot. PCOS symptoms look like weight gain and sometimes lean PCOS. It can look like hair loss, facial hair, fatigue, anxiety, infertility. The list goes on. There are so many symptoms of PCOS, and everyone's PCOS looks different. That's why it often goes undiagnosed. PCOS is caused from a combination of genetic and environmental factors. Now, a lot of times when we're diagnosed, I'm sure many of you have said in the comments, when you were diagnosed, it kind of felt like it was all your fault. But it really has to do with your genetics and your environment. When you address the root issues behind PCOS, that will help you reverse PCOS. Now, a lot of sisters, 80% of women with PCOS, have insulin resistance, and this is often the driving root factor to our PCOS symptoms. When you have insulin resistance, and I'm gonna break this down for you right now, when you have insulin resistance and you eat something like carbs, it's gonna break down in your body and turn into sugar. Your body is gonna release the hormone insulin, which will take that sugar and give it to your cells to burn for energy. Now, over time, whether it's from inflammation, whether it's from genetic factors or your environment, your cells can become insulin resistant. When they become insulin resistant, we end up having high insulin levels floating around in our bloodstream, and that glucose stores as fat around our organs, especially in the midsection, around our waistline, and around our liver. Going back to the key point here, when we have high insulin levels, this can do a number on our ovaries and can lead to our PCOS symptoms. Chronically high insulin levels make our ovaries produce more testosterone. When we overproduce testosterone in our ovaries, that can lead to symptoms like ovarian cysts, irregular periods, infertility, and high testosterone can lead to all of those difficult symptoms like facial hair, cystic acne, and hair loss, anxiety, fatigue. So essentially, that is the driving factor to many of your PCOS symptoms. And when you go to the doctor to get diagnosed, you have to have 2 out of 3 major symptoms. Now, that's irregular periods, ovarian cysts, and hyperandrogenism, which means high testosterone and symptoms of it, like I mentioned earlier. So all of those kind of revolve around having insulin resistance and can be triggered by that. It's amazing how our blood sugar can impact our PCOS, and I want you to know that it's something that you can control, and it will take a bit of dedication because of the genetic and environmental factors that kind of play into it, but you can do it. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the 5 steps to reversing PCOS. For more details and support in going through these next 5 steps to reversing PCOS, you can click the link in the description to download our app, The Sisterhood. The first step in reversing PCOS is discovering your PCOS type. Now, I went over one of them, which is insulin resistance, and that's one of the most common, but we have 3 more. That's inflammation, which all sisters have, adrenal fatigue, which 30% of sisters have, and hypothyroidism, which around 30% of sisters have. Now, these 4 root issues of PCOS are something you really want to address if you want to reverse your symptoms. Whether it's through blood work or taking a look at some of your symptoms, that's going to help you decipher what types of PCOS you might have, and you can have multiple. I personally had all of the different types of PCOS, so it took a bit of research and a lot of work to reverse them, but it was worth it. So let me go through some of the symptoms of those 4 PCOS types. If you have inflammation, some signs of inflammation include feeling bloated, feeling fatigued, feeling like you are having trouble digesting what you're eating. Also, it can feel like skin rashes or cystic acne. Those are signs of inflammation. And if the scale just doesn't budge no matter how hard you try to lose weight, that can be a sign that your cells are very inflamed and your metabolism is having trouble there. Some signs of insulin resistance are cravings. Such terrible cravings. It makes you feel like you have no control over what you're eating and you just want to have sugar all the time. That's a major sign of insulin resistance. A sign of adrenal fatigue is feeling like you have to nap all the time, or like waking up and you're already tired and ready for a nap, even though you had 8 hours of sleep. Some sisters have trouble sleeping and then they feel fatigued all day. That's another sign of adrenal fatigue. Kind of use coffee as a crutch to get you through your day. And then for hypothyroid, you might see yourself gaining a lot of weight, your hair falling out from all over, not just the front, and also fatigue all the time. So getting some blood work done and understanding your PCOS type can really help you target this. And I have a quiz that you can take to help you discover your PCOS type and kickstart your journey. Check the link in the description. The second step to reversing PCOS is trying to go gluten-free for at least 30 days to see how you feel. Gluten can be a very inflammatory food for women with PCOS, which is already an inflammatory condition. So going gluten-free can really give you an edge in fighting PCOS if you find out that you're sensitive to it. So the best way to do that is to cut it out for 30 days to see how you feel. You may find that cutting out gluten has helped with your bloating, with your fatigue, with your energy throughout the day, and with losing weight. So trying it will help you figure this out to see if you're sensitive to it, because there is a lot of research surrounding gluten that shows that gluten is an inflammatory food. For example, studies show that every time you eat gluten, your body releases a protein called zonulin. Zonulin kind of loosens up the gut lining and allows gliadin, which is a protein from gluten, to get through and into your bloodstream, creating chronic inflammation in your body. And inflammation means that your cells are going to be locked up. They're not going to be responsive to hormones like insulin, and it's going to be an issue for your metabolism if you're sensitive to gluten. The third step in reversing PCOS is trying to go dairy-free. Now, I know this can be difficult for many because dairy is actually addicting, and studies show it. Dairy contains a protein called casein, which plays on the brain's opiate receptors and makes you feel addicted to cheese. Comment below if you felt addicted to cheese. Dairy also contains IGF-1, which is insulin-like growth factor, which makes our body want to produce more insulin, which is not ideal. As I mentioned earlier in this video, having high insulin levels will trigger high testosterone in our ovaries, making us suffer from more PCOS symptoms. So the last thing you want to do is that. Dairy can also make you produce more androgens. Androgens are like testosterone, and that goes back to our PCOS symptoms of facial hair, acne, cystic acne, hair loss, fatigue, and weight gain. So taking that into consideration, you might want to try going gluten and dairy free for 30 days to see how you feel and if this is a lifestyle that works for you. The fourth step to reversing PCOS is discovering your carb tolerance. Now, a lot of us are told to just cut out carbs and never eat them again. But let me tell you something, you don't have to do that. A moderate decrease in your carb intake can have a significant impact on your insulin sensitivity and improve your insulin resistance. How I suggest you get started is by tracking your carbs and seeing how you feel when you eat around 150 to 120 grams of carbs in a day. Do you feel fatigued after your meals, like you need a nap? Maybe your blood sugar is too high. Maybe that's too much. And if that's the case, then you can slowly lower it, to track your carbs and see how you feel between 90 and 120 grams of carbs. So doing this in a slow and steady, moderate fashion will help you take control of how you feel and understand how much carbs you can tolerate. I really don't like doing this drastically, and I know that cutting out carbs can be really triggering for some people. So I do suggest to do a self-evaluation before you go through this and just see how you feel about tracking and how that's going to feel for you when you're on your PCOS journey. No pressure. The fifth step to reversing PCOS is learning how to exercise for PCOS. I used to think that I had to work out all day long, hours and hours of running, hours and hours of kickboxing every single day. As long as I'm sweating, I'm burning calories. That was not the right way to think. I was actually slowing down my metabolism. Doing intense workouts can put your body in fight or flight mode and make your body prioritize hormones like testosterone and androgens and not prioritize the other hormones like progesterone and estrogen that are necessary for our menstrual cycle. Not to mention, we feel more anxious, fatigued, and we get more PCOS symptoms when we have higher androgens, hyperandrogenism. I like to work out following our slow weighted workout method. This helps keep my stress hormones low while improving my insulin sensitivity by lifting weights. To learn how to follow the slow weighted workout method, check out the link in the description to download the Sisterhood app where you can follow along with our workout player and work out with me. All right, sisters, these are the 5 steps to reversing PCOS. I hope this video was life-changing. Forward it to your friend who may have PCOS, and it may change her mind about how she can manage her symptoms and reverse them too. Don't forget to like this video, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.